Hello, everyone, and welcome to Daily God Gems with Lisa Renee. God has given us the ability to feel and express all sorts of emotions, including anger. This is a challenging emotion because it can lead to negative effects or to sinful thoughts and behaviors. Is it okay for Christians to express anger? Can anger be expressed without sin? Anger is most often seen as a negative emotion, so it seems impossible to have a good kind of anger. First, let us look at how to avoid the wrong kind of anger. We read in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 26 through 27, "Don't sin by letting anger control you. Don't let the sun go down while you are still angry, for anger gives foothold to the devil." Here, Apostle Paul teaches us to not let anger control us and do not let it perpetuate. Otherwise, we are giving Satan an opportunity to get inside our head and to manipulate us through our anger and through our loss of control of that anger. In this passage, Paul quoted David's words in Psalms chapter 4, verse 4, who wrote, "Don't sin by letting your anger control you. Think about it overnight and remain silent." David is sharing his wisdom to not act or speak hastily in our anger, but rather we should think the issue over and calm down. His son Solomon shared similar wisdom in Proverbs chapter 29, verse 11. "Fools vent their anger, but the wise quietly hold it back." So to avoid the wrong kind of anger, we need to pause. We need to evaluate the situation and why we are feeling angry. When we pause like this, we give ourselves the time to test our emotions and test our response to what God desires from us. This lesson is echoed in James chapter 1, verses 19 through 20. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Here we read that there is a human anger. There is also a righteous anger, which would be acting according to God's morality without guilt or sin. Jesus expressed this righteous anger when he flipped the tables at the temple in reaction to people selling goods and exchanging money. He said to them in John chapter 2, verses 14 through 17, "Get these things out of here. Stop turning my Father's house into a marketplace." Then his disciples remembered this prophecy from scriptures. "Passion for God's house will consume me." Jesus was angry with a passion for his Father's house. He was angry that people were disrespecting his Father. This example of anger is righteous because it is directed towards defending our Heavenly Father. Notice that Jesus didn't express his anger physically at the people, but at objects. And he didn't call people names. Rather, he sternly corrected them and pointed them to respecting his Father. Another example from Jesus is found in Mark chapter 3, verses 1 through 5. Jesus went into the synagogue again and noticed a man with a deformed hand. Since it was the Sabbath, Jesus' enemies watched him closely. If he healed the man's hand, they planned to accuse him of working on the Sabbath. Jesus said to the man with the deformed hand, "Come and stand in front of everyone." Then he turned to his critics and asked, "Does the law permit good deeds on the Sabbath, or is it a day for doing evil? Is this a day to save a life or to destroy it?" But they wouldn't answer him. He looked around at them angrily and was deeply saddened by their hard hearts. Here, Jesus was angry with the Pharisees because they cared more about their man-made regulations than they did about a suffering brother. And he didn't harbor hatred for these men. Instead, he felt saddened that they were lacking in love and compassion. These two examples from Jesus teaches us the definition of righteous anger. It is an anger in response to another's lack of love towards God and towards their neighbor. It is in response to breaking the two greatest commandments, which Jesus teaches us in Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 through 39. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. In addition, Jesus never expressed anger towards the insults and injury which was directed towards himself. Rather, it was always in reaction to the harm or disrespect that people directed towards others. He did not express selfish anger or an anger of victimhood. He fully lived his life for the well-being of others. And notice how Jesus expressed his anger in both of these situations. He pointed the people to God and his truth. He didn't become physically violent towards people. He didn't spew insults. He didn't express hatred. All of his actions and words were directed towards correction and redirection to God and his righteous truth. Apostle Paul teaches in Colossians chapter 3, verses 5 through 8, you must also rid yourselves of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips. We see here that Paul is describing the human anger as it is grouped with what he said belongs to our earthly nature and the life that we once lived. Notice again the accompanying characteristics he listed with human anger: rage, malice, slander, filthy language. Paul reminds us how we should conduct ourselves in all situations, including times of anger, in Colossians chapter 3, verses 12 through 14. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive one another if any of you has a grievance against someone. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. This is a good passage to memorize and to carry in our hearts and to guide us, whether we are ourselves struggling with a situation of human anger, or we are striving to appropriately remain within Jesus' example of expressing the right kind of anger, the righteous anger, which defends and redirects love for God and for others. Everyone have a wonderful day, and may God's love and peace be with you.